Actions have consequences. Let me give you a couple. Action number one, you trade for Donovan Mitchell. Expectations go up. Action number two, back-to-back home playoff series. You need to advance. Action number three, no trades at the deadline. You better be deep on the bench. Action number four, you spend considerable money in the offseason. You better have good personnel. Action number five, you lose in the first round, you lose your job, and you should. With that all being said, welcome on in to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. It's no nonsense tonight. We're going to talk the last two games, game 3 and 4. It's a 2-2 series. It's not the sweep is on, gentlemanly moves are going on. Real stuff is going down here, and it's not looking good. We're going to give our thoughts, and we want to hear from you guys. If you're in this chat, if you're in the stream, hit that like button. We appreciate you, and we love that you're here. Justin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's just do a little rant from you off the top. Get it all out.
Well, obviously, 2-2 series. Jeff, you and I came on after the 2-0 start to the series and then had a very disappointing swing back to 2-2 here to even it up, come back to Cleveland where, you want to talk no nonsense. Well, we already have some nonsense with a late injury report coming in of Jared Allen having bruised ribs, which is unbelievable. Can't believe we've gone a couple of days since the last game and only getting that update now. Don't know if he's going to go or not. I got an hour before tip-off. And the only player that has consistently shown up every single game, Jeff, you put it out there on our Twitter, the stats from the regular season to the postseason, and everyone but Allen taking a dip in the points category and certainly in a lot of different categories as well. Still a game time decision. So it's one of those things where, you want to talk about being able to survive, and I can't believe we're talking about this, survive this series against the Orlando Magic, a team that we should handily beat. And again, I'm always a proponent of it's the playoffs. Teams play a lot harder and play to the level of their competition. Unfortunately, in our 2 wins, I felt like we won them at a fine distance and whatnot, but not in the way that the Magic absolutely handled us in their 2 games at home. We have to have a statement game here. Otherwise, catastrophe could be what we're all. I mean, it already seems like that to most Clevelanders. I'm not quite there yet, but again, you lose this game, I have zero faith in them being able to turn it around and being able to go get games 6 and 7 back. So,
Turner, MZC, J Boogie, welcome on in. The 7 others here. Get the hell in here. We're talking Cavs basketball, and it's game 5. No nonsense, like I said. Logan, before I throw it over to you, I'm going to say something I can't even believe after watching game 3. Game 4 was worse, because here's the thing. I'm cool with, you have a lapse sometimes. You lose a game. Should you have the worst playoff loss in franchise history? Probably not. But, yeah, there were some good points made. You had some beatings like this in prior years when you were in the playoffs, even when you had a guy named LeBron James. Totally fine. Understandable. You were up 9 points at half of game 4, and you come out and lay an egg in the third quarter, 37-10 outscored. Despicable, indefensible. I don't even want to talk about it anymore, but I would like to hear from you.
Okay, let's start. Let's start here. The series obviously isn't over, and people are going to talk, what was the Cavs? What was this? What was that? Here's the fact of the matter. I don't agree with Justin on one thing. The idea that people thought we would handily beat the Magic is utter and complete BS. And listen, Justin, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying, in my honest, humble opinion, I said all season that this team is not where it needed to be come playoff time. I said we were stumbling into the playoffs. We were tripping our way there. And we were just going to figure it out. You can't just figure it out in the playoffs. That doesn't happen. Now, taking to my next step, my next point here. Third quarters are so freaking vital. In fact, The third quarter is like game 5 of a regular basketball game. You win the third quarter, usually in a game that might be tight at half, might have a little separation. The third quarter decides the winners in so many games. And we looked like some losers in that third quarter. I mean, pathetic is all I can say. That being said, opportunity knocks. But here's my problem, guys. And Justin, this goes back to my point of what I said in the regards that I didn't think we'd handily beat the Orlando Magic because this team doesn't rise to the occasion. That is the way I feel about this team. In the games we must win, a game where the Knicks are down 4 guys, a game where we're playing the Charlotte Hornets and they're down LaMelo Ball and all these other guys, we don't rise to the must-win games, and they have to tonight. We are now in a 2-2 series. We played bad enough, I mean horribly enough, to be in a situation that we're in a must-win. And I get I might be in the minority in the regards of people think, we just got a comment a moment ago that this game shouldn't have gone more than 5 games. I can agree with you, but the fact of the matter is I didn't see this Cavaliers team handling anyone come playoff time based on what they were looking like in the second half of the season. The second half of the season, we're a bottom-tier team in the NBA, plain and simple. I'm not talking about the Charlottes or the Detroits of this world. I'm talking about everybody else. We were in the tier, not here, somewhere down there. That's what we were going into the playoffs with. And to just flip the switch and figure it out. And if everybody's like, we won games 1 and 2 and our defense is so good, we didn't play all that well in game 1 or game 2.
That's the
Orlando
issue.
played horribly. So, yes, did I expect the Magic to respond in game 3? Absolutely. One of the best home teams in the NBA, third-ranked defense in the NBA. If you get behind by 5 to 10 points, it feels like 15 to 20 points sometimes with them. So if the Cavaliers want to win tonight, ride the home crowd, because Lord knows we need that home crowd more than ever. And I get guys like me, guys like Justin, guys like Jeffrey shitting on the team. Probably doesn't help the situation. I totally understand that. But we have to vent because this is a must-win. People don't understand. This is more than just this season. This is more than just, this game tonight could determine the next couple of years of basketball in Cleveland. That's the way I feel. You go to game 6 down 3-2, this series is OVER over.
Well,
Okay,
I said right before Logan, before we hopped on here in our group message when we were all probably heading to our setups and everything. I said this is the most important game that we've had since Bron has been a Cleveland Cavalier, and has gone to the Lakers and everything. I loved every point you made, but again, all that is so very true. You lose this game, I'm saying I don't have that faith in us being able to come back game 6, game 7 to win the series. But, the point that you made about their defense and about them getting out in front, you also have to talk about what it does for us in a sense that guys like Isaac Okoro become non-factors if the Orlando Magic get out to a 10, 15-point lead. Yep. There's no chance that a guy like Isaac can come in there and stop who is ever, going hot in that moment, because his offense and his lack of wanting to either take shots or be aggressive or whatever it may be, you can see that JB shies away from it. And obviously we haven't even gotten into a lot of the JB stuff yet, which I think is the crux of our problem. But, at the same time, the point that Jeff has been pounding the table on is that your star players have to make plays. Your star players have to be good. And we're watching guys around the league, go off and do the things that they need to do in order. Even Joel Embiid, in games that he's losing, he's putting up 50 points. And that's the kind of stuff that you need to see out of a guy like Donovan Mitchell. And you need to see the co-companions of Jamal Murray with Jokic, where he's putting up 25, 27 some points.
Game winner, clutch factor.
Exactly. Being aggressive, going against a guy who might be going down as the GOAT, These are things that these players like DG, these players like Donovan, they have to know the situation. They have to be aggressive. They have to go after it. Otherwise, trying to work through a young Evan Mobley right now isn't going to work. Trying to work through Ja is not going to be your game-winning success, as great as he's been in this series. And the final point that I'm going to talk about is, Logan, you talk about third quarters and just second halves in general. Yeah. If you guys have been watching basketball games in around the league, look at the one last night with Denver and LA. How many first half leads has LA had and then blown them in the second half. I mean,
What?
it's just one of those things.
You
where,
know why?
Hey,
You know why? They have Darvin Ham. We have JB Bickerstaff. Pick your choice. Who's worse?
Hey, that's a good
Holy
one.
crap.
That's a good one.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, though, like to kind of wrap it all up, you're 2 years in a row. 3 years in a row. The first
Elimination games.
year, okay, like I'm willing to be a reasonable voice in the space.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about that later too, but this is 2 years in a row. You falter after the All-Star break. Other teams start ramping it up. We're going the opposite direction. You're chronically bad on games that matter, like you said, Logan. I think that's what stood out to me most. And you're terrible anything nationally televised. You're like, this team just looks totally different. You're on a random, just Valley Sports, and we're like in Indiana on a Tuesday. We look fine. But then it's like, oh, these games are on Fubu. They're on like crack streams is the only place I could find these games. And we're still scared of the Lime or whatever. And the only person who's better than last year has been Jared Allen. Now he's hurt and the lights aren't as bright. Everyone else, that's what I want to get into, though, because I've been seeing people in the chat. DG's got to do this. DG and Don, Mobley and Jared Allen. Justin, I want to come to you because me and you have differed about this a little bit since game 4 kind of ended. Make your argument so here's my argument for everyone watching. If Donovan isn't very good, I can't really get on the supporting cast because it doesn't really matter. Same way with DG, same way with your core 4 versus your supporting cast. So I just want to hear this side of your argument, Justin, in person, verbalized. And while you're on that point, who needs to step up specifically besides everyone? Or what would you do differently if you were JB?
Well, here's why I always go down to the supporting cast. And a lot of it comes out of the stuff that doesn't really pop out too much. But you look at guys like Caris LeVert, you look at guys like Georges Niang, and when they are just absolutely stinking up the joint with either awful, awful shot selections or just forced errors, let's go down the line really quickly. Jeff, you talked about, stats and everything. You look at it, Donovan with 21 points. That's not cutting it for his level. Jared Allen with 17 points. That's great. Phenomenal. Evan with 14. We could live with that if everyone else was performing or doing a little bit more. Darius Garland, 12 points. Unacceptable. And for that matter, he started off passing the ball very well. 6 assists to go along with that. Not good. But then you go down to your next highest scoring player, 8.3 from Caris LeVert. Awful. And he's playing 25 minutes. You go down to the next player, 30 minutes for Max Strus.
We gave LeVert 17 million. By the way.
6.3 points. And then obviously, guess who's our next leading scorer? Marcus Morris with 7.5 minutes. Guess who's after him with 3.5 minutes? That's right, Georges Niang. Oh, and who's after Georges Niang with 20.3 minutes? Isaac Okoro. These guys are
Okoro had 0 in last game.
And again, Okoro, we know what he is here for. He's here for defense. But if we're not winning games, he's invaluable. That's just the truth. And so now you're looking at George and Max, the 2 biggest guys that you signed in the offseason, and they're contributing almost nothing. Max, his first game, was doing great. He was rebounding the ball. He was getting off of screens, doing a lot of gravity work. But at the same time, it's just ridiculous to think that a guy like Max Strus and a guy like Caris LeVert aren't consistently grabbing 10 rebounds like a guy like Josh Hart, who does not contribute a whole ton often in the points scored, but goes and grabs second chance rebounds, goes and grabs secures the rebounds on the defensive end to help his team get out to leads and stuff. And that's the problem. These guys, their secondary stats are awful. Max Strus has 5 rebounds. That's kind of good for him. Caris LeVert, 2 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Ridiculous. Georges Niang, 1.5 rebounds for my sub big? What's he doing? He's not running out in transition. It doesn't make sense.
He doesn't ever
Rebounding
run.
For the longest time has been my biggest.
Altman bought up love for that.
All the way back to last year after we let go of Kevin Love. It was my biggest gripe with this team. We can't rebound the ball outside of our two bigs, and that's why we're losing a lot of these games. It just does not make sense. Of course, Darius needs to play better. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to take more shots. But at the same time, Karras sucks. George sucks. Max, I want to believe he's got something in the tank, but right now I'm not seeing it. We're seeing exactly what we thought we'd see from getting a Miami Heat player who played well in Miami and then comes over, plays kind of well, kind of okay in the regular season, and then just stinks the joint up in the playoffs. This is the problem that we have been trying to avoid. And now my dog's here. He's trying to tell me to calm down, and I can't. I just can't.
He's probably terrified right now.
He's like, dude, bring out the real dogs. Where are the real dogs at? Tell them, Garrett, where they at?
That's my thing, though. I don't know how you look around this league and you're just you have all these people who are playoff risers, and I don't want to harp on other teams, but like you said, Josh Hart. I mean, obviously Anthony Edwards was, expected to be a really good talent in this league, but dude has just absolutely stepped up to the plate by more as far as what we thought his capabilities would do. And I'm sure Timberwolves fans have no complaints with the first round sweep, but it's why are you that much worse in the playoffs? How do you go all year where you weather the injuries, you don't have a lot of continuity, and those aren't excuses to me. You have everyone, and even I tweeted it, even me of all people, because I'm some brainwashed believer. I agree with you. If Dean Wade was healthy, this series would be different. I said it myself. But when you have everyone else on the roster who cannot, score for their life, we can't get over 100 points as a team. There's nothing else to talk about. I mean, everyone has been a net negative in the scoring department besides Jarrett Allen. Mitchell, 5-point dump. Garland, 6-point dump. Allen, thank you. There's really nothing negative to say about Jarrett Allen besides that it's a team game and everyone has to take responsibility. Mobley down, LeVert non-existent, Strus is the really disappointing thing to me because he was the roller coaster of emotions.
We have the expectations, right?
I thought we paid him too much. He lived up to the hype as far as the regular season. It's nagging. Then he just is he's not even close to himself in this year's playoffs. Niang, obviously the huge dump off. Merrill, as people point out, not really getting to play. But you go from 112 points per game in the regular season to 91 in 4 postseason games. Logan, core 4, supporting cast, what would you do differently if you're a JB? Are you changing the starting lineup, or you can't even?
No, it's not fun to be a head coach. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying JB has it easy, but there is just some things on the court that I can't excuse this anymore. George Niang, if JB Bickerstaff plays that man 1 minute tonight, he's not serious.
He'll be first off the bench. He'll be first off the bench. He'll be number
2 with LeVert, who also is really
guarantee it.
But the thing is, there's the way Niang plays, this is not a series for him. And I have been hard on Niang. I've given Niang his flowers at times. I can flip-flop a bit on him, but I think it's kind of how he is. He gets a hot streak of 2 weeks, and then he's horrible for 2 weeks.
Logan, I'm hearing you, but let's just even think if we win this series. And like I said Cavs in 7.
Niang should go.
But you have Boston next series. Kristaps, Horford, and Tatum.
Here's my thing.
He don't have a series. What series is Niang good for? Here's
my thing.
Nobody.
I thought from the beginning this is not a good series from George Niang. And I don't know why I'm even spending time on George Niang. He's pissed me off all freaking.
But he's series, the crux.
But he's huge because if he knocks down 4 or 5 triples, we're probably winning that game. He has to do that to make up for everything else he does horribly on the defensive side of the ball. My point is, a young team that likes to run, that likes to be physical, that's not a team that Niang can play against. A team like Boston, don't get me wrong, they're physical. They're really freaking good. But there's something about veterans versus veterans that just kind of works. I don't think Niang can work with these younger guys. I mean, he's out here trying to freaking size up Markelle Fultz or whoever it was, Markelle Fultz or Cole, and probably Markelle Fultz that he ran into and wanted a big body. I'm like, what are you? I don't
That
know.
doesn't
I
even
mean,
feel like this series. That feels like years ago at this point, because wasn't that game one?
yeah, the fact of the matter is, I would say last year and the year before that, they were fun regular seasons, weren't they? Both of them ended basically in a fart, is the only way I can describe it. That's basically how the season ended. And the reason I'm worked up, we're worked up, reason why Cavs Nation is overall worked up, whether you're a little positive or not, you have to admit this is really disappointing, um, is because we've seen this before. We've seen where this goes. Am I going to be all wine and gold tonight? Absolutely. Will I be pleased if they
Absolutely.
win? No doubt. My
Absolutely.
point is,
Series isn't
I
over.
100%. But I don't have faith in the guy at the head of the snake, the guy at the head of this whole thing, JB Bickerstaff. I didn't have faith in him when we lost New York in 5 games last year. I didn't have faith in him throughout the season. The best stretch he had is when we weren't at full strength and we're a bad team, we're at full strength. Someone explained that to me. That overall means there's other issues. So if I'm JB Bickerstaff tonight, I throw a fucking curveball. You know what I do? Justin, bring the dog back. Thanks. Hey,
Start
Ricky, how's
Morris.
it going?
He was already
Bro,
upset.
I'm not even kidding you. Morris is the first one off my bench.
Okay.
And I know
I'm
that's
in for that.
I know that sounds crazy, and it may not sound crazy to you. It sounds crazy to other fans. I'm throwing a curveball where the fans get into it, right? Because I bet you everyone who's going to be in Cleveland tonight at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, if they see Levert and Yang get off that bench,
we go
there's going to be
again.
groans. There's going to be, oh, God. If Morris gets up, oh, crap. And you know what? Morris could go out there. Maybe he doesn't play all that great. Maybe he's not revolutionary. But he's a guy that's going to at least give me some hard-nosed defense, at least get in guys' faces, knock down spot-up shots when he needs to, and he's a little tall and actually plays like an actual big overall. At least a better big than Niang has played like so far. I think you have to shake it up, get the crowd involved early. Morris can go out there and be a little igniter for you, if you will. If you want to play Levert, and I've said this to you guys over and over. Levert is at his best when it's pass first Levert. When it is shoot first Levert, he ruins what's going on the court. When he is pass first Levert, he is damn good, and he can work well off our bench. If it's him and Morris off first of that bench, I'm happy. If I see Niang be one of the first 2 guys on the bench, I've already known that JB Bickerstaff did not, what is it called, identify things, as he said in his interview.
Insufficient answer.
I identified things 2 games ago. I mean, and people on Twitter,
I identified things last year when it was 5 games,
Yes.
but it's like how you do things is everything for me.
what bothers me is Justin, go ahead. I lost my point. I'll come back to it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. We're talking about, and Logan brings up a great point, that he doesn't trust the guy at the top of this, but he's also forgetting the guy who's above him, who has put us in this situation with moves that were made, signings that were made,
Don't
and
even
now
get me started.
I believe
Off-season
people are
talk's coming.
starting to come around to the idea that outside of the Mitchell trade, Kobe Altman shoots this team in the foot more often than he helps it. Karis LeVert was such a desperate trade move in the void of we weren't ever going to accomplish anything outside of the play-in that year, but we went out anyways. We gave up a first-round pick. We gave up Ricky Rubio. I know we got him back, whatever. And then you go into the next offseason, you trade for Donovan Mitchell. Congratulations. You have, I think, maybe your only A-plus move or a move in general in your entire career.
It was the right move. It was the right move.
It was the right move.
Whatever,
Great.
how this
Congratulations.
works out,
They were very much, the Jazz were very much selling. The Cavs very much didn't give up anything outside of Lauri Markkanen and picks that were worth losing sleep over. After that, you're restricted to having to re-sign Karis LeVert because he's bird right. You don't have any more money to spend. You should have let him walk because he's not a good fit on this team, except for when guys are not healthy. And then you only have the MLE to work with this past offseason. Max Strus, again, I want to hold out faith that he can be a contributing factor on this team and help us win games. But George Niang, like Jeff said, is just worse Kevin Love. And I don't understand it because you got rid of Kevin Love because he couldn't play defense, but he did and he wasn't hitting shots at the time. I get it. He wasn't playing well. That was kind of part of the issue. But at the end of the day, Kevin Love off the bench was still good for 7 to 8 rebounds and to contribute in other ways. I also think passing was a lot better from him. George Niang, as much as I wanted to believe and just, for the sake of his funny nickname, to want to like him, for wanting him to do well, it just never made sense. And that's the problem. We've made moves that just don't make sense. And now, the regular season is the regular season. That's back when everyone in Cleveland is saying sixth man of the year, Karis LeVert, coach of the year, JB Bickerstaff, in a stretch of games where we're playing out of our minds. Guys are knocking. Sam Merrill is having 27-point games, something that will probably never happen in a realistic playoff scenario. And we're crowning ourselves with awards and flowers and everything. And now we're here. Everyone's in a tizzy because, things aren't going the way that they went in the regular season. And that's the issue. We didn't solve the playoff issues from last year. We solved let's get more wins in the regular season issue, which, again, doesn't help you when you purposely lose the final game of the season to play the Magic. Like Logan said, he didn't feel confident. I felt a little bit more confident. It's one of those situations where it doesn't matter because the guys at the top have put this team in an awful, awful position. And now you have to rely on star power, which should be enough to get you past the first round, but it most definitely won't be able to get you past the second round.
And honestly, I want to qualify here because Boogie brings up a good point because and this is just kind of how this is just a shady reality in a lot of situations. And I get it's pro sports. You got to, you have to have a perceived reputation and optics and whatever. I'm totally on board with that. Actually, we didn't get rid of K-Love. He asked out. I understand these things. And I'm glad you brought this up, Jay Boogie, but regardless of, he came to Altman and Altman was like, this, that, whatever discussions actually happened. However it went down, it wasn't good because it's not like he asked out or he was like, I just don't want to play basketball anymore. If he asked out, that means as a veteran, tenured guy himself, he didn't really see promise with this organization. I get that we weren't playing him and he was injured, but it's like he saw red flags go up too and was like, can I get out of here for a different contender? And he's on Miami now. And, they've obviously had more playoff success than, we've had in the past couple of years.
With way less talent.
They're not looking great this year, but, they're not a favorite. They're not a 4 against the 5. They're not playing the youngest team in the playoffs. They're not playing the worst offensive rating team in the playoffs. They're playing the Boston Celtics. Quick
shout out to my boy, the Joker, for always being with us.
Yes.
Appreciate his support as a Kelly Oubre lover and appreciator.
Kelly Oubre, here's the thing. We're going to sound like revisionist history, hindsight's 2020. We have over
we've been talking about
for
a long time.
I'm getting here. We have over 500 uploads on YouTube. We have over 5,000 tweets on X. Here's the thing. Go back and look at our older videos, even videos from this year. There are uploads from this year where we are actively on a double-digit game winning streak.
Jaron Allen is out tonight, official. Just got the notification.
Okay, we're officially in trouble. Honestly, this is a game we'll probably win even with him out because it doesn't make any sense. Now, let's switch to this really quick. JB, now you got to do something. So he kept it close to the vest, saying if we're going to be small ball or whatever.
He's going to put Niang at the 4 and Evan Mobley at the 5. That's what he'll do.
If he does that, I will be. I might be getting.
Could see it. I could see it.
I'm like, I don't even, I will not be able to behave if that's the case. I can't believe I'm even saying this, man. You're going to have to put Tristan at the 5. I can't believe I'm even saying
at this point, I would.
But now Marcus Morris is in. Marcus Morris gets 15 minutes tonight minimum. I don't want to see Damian Jones, but now, Niang's a guarantee. And for the 100th time, and Logan's going to love this, shame on this front office for thinking that we're just some of the dumbest fans in sports or that you're smarter than everyone else in the room, that, there's no true 5s anymore. Jokic does this and Giannis does that, even though Giannis is just really an athletic true 5. He can't really do anything else besides run and dunk. Jokic actually, give Jokic his props. You have not had one backup center in years. Damian Jones, Ed Davis, Tristan Thompson. Who am I missing, Logan? Does it even matter? You had Brooke Lopez Robin Lopez.
Not Brooke.
I don't even know. Yeah, I wish we would have had Brooke.
Update: Isaac Okoro is getting the start.
Okay, that's
we're
fine
going
with me.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
that's fine
That's
with
fine.
me.
That's fine.
That means we have no one over
You have-
6'5" at the 4.
That's correct.
and you have
And they have 6'10", 6'10", 6'10". That's
Terrifying.
That's small ball, and you hope that Okoro makes 3 threes. And you could claim that you have some resemblance of spacing. Not that Jared Allen's like a spacer anyway, but like you would hope if you had to sub someone, you could get something in like a different aspect. But Tristan's not going to give it to you, and Okoro doesn't really give you the spacing, and Max Strus really isn't playing very well, and DG kind of looks like he has no idea what he's doing, and Donovan really only played the first half of the last game and scored 0 points in the second half. And the only player who was really, kind of considerably playing competent basketball is out tonight. So good. I'm glad that we got the injury news. He keeps, JB protects the players. I'm glad.
Jeff, this is the only caveat to this. Like you said, somehow if the Cavs win this game, this is like a trial run of what it could be like to not have one of the core 4 and be okay trading them away after this season. It's the only thing that you can look to like really be like, all right, well, the blessing in disguise, maybe they find some way to win this game. But again, the best player in this series, or from the Cavs standpoint, out does not give me a whole lot of faith.
Probably the best player in the series. Banchero's had one really good game, a most consistent player, and they had Wagner have a good game, last game. I think he's been the best player both sides. I mean, not the most explosive, not the most dominant, but he consistently
not
the flashiest guy, but I mean, he's given you a lot more than he had, that he gave us last year. Here's another thing that bothers me, because I just want to kind of do general talk here before we wrap up. Justin and Logan are going to watch parties. So we got to wrap up here at 7:40. There's not a whole lot else to talk about. It's basically a win or almost go home scenario, because I don't think you're going to have much, success on the road in Orlando. What's really bothered me is that I see a lot of this discourse on X. We could play these guys. We could play Marcus Morris because they got the toughness. We could play Tristan because he's got the toughness, but that's not what wins basketball games. Toughness doesn't get you there if the person isn't very good at hoops. Newsflash, I will concede and agree with you. Newsflash, weakness is a surefire way to lose. So congratulations on the, toughness isn't always going to get the job done, when I could tell you weakness is really likely for you to lose and go home, Cancun, Barbados. They don't even get a pass to the beach as far as I'm concerned. You better just get back in the lab.
This is what I'm going to say.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I saw people on X saying, oh, so George Niang had a couple of bad games, and you guys want to just adjust that? Yes! You don't have time in the playoffs to deal with someone playing bad for a couple of games. Like
couple of minutes,
yeah. I mean, like that freaking game 3, when things are going well, 21-18, Niang checks in. Before we know it's a 13-0 run. And guess what? He stayed in the game. They went a whole quarter break and made no substitutions.
Or made any timeouts.
13-0 run, just leave them in. I'm sorry. As a coach in the playoffs, we always do his in-game adjustments were bad. They are amplified in the playoffs. And what did I say, Jeffrey? What did I say multiple times? I said, what happens when the shots don't fall every game? What happens when we don't knock down 23-pointers and Merrill and Niang? What happens when Dean Wade isn't there to knock down 22 points in a fourth quarter to beat Boston? Or Max Strus scored 17 points in the final 3.5 minutes. We won so many games this way, pulling it out of a rabbit out of a freaking hat. That doesn't happen in the playoffs, unless you're the New York Knicks against the Philadelphia 76ers in the final 20 seconds of game 2. The fact of the matter is you don't get those breaks in the playoffs. You don't have time to wait for someone to come around. You don't have time to wait to make your decision. You have to be forward-minded. You have to be like, next play, get his ass off the court, get this guy on. That's not working. You come off here. I get it. You don't want to mess things up and throw people all around and have these weird rotations, all that jazz. But you cannot stick with something. George Niang being on the court for 6.5 straight minutes is losing basketball. I think Niang, and I said this to you guys from the beginning, George Niang is great in spurts. If he goes out there, knocks on a couple of triples, leave him in for another minute. If he goes out there and misses his first 2 or 3 shots, he's turning over the basketball, he's not playing a lick of defense, see ya. Get out. Morris, get in. Niang can go back in when we're ready. But I'm not saying pull a guy and never play him again. I'm saying JB just has to be ready to make that adjustment, make it on the fly, and adjust again. It's a constant game of adjustments in the playoffs. Every single game, you're adjusting to what the team is doing to you, your opponent is doing to you. Their lineup, match that lineup. I think we haven't matched any of the Magic's lineups, especially, obviously, in the last 2 games. There's nothing that JB has done fantastically in this series. I even told you guys the only thing that bothered me in the first 2 games was the Niang minutes were a little too high. And I was hoping maybe that would at least be fixed, and it didn't. And I don't know. Now, no Jared Allen. I feel really down right now. And you're kind of right, Jeffrey. That means we're probably going to win tonight when I'm feeling my very worst. But I hate that that's how this team is. It's to this day, don't know what we are.
Just really quickly to comment on Mike's point here. I mean, when you play Okoro at the 4 or whatever the scenario is with him starting in the lineup, all you're really trying to do is compensate for the defense that you're losing with Jared Allen. But in the sense of that, if this game is taking, a turn or things are looking – or actually, I'm going to take that back. If things are looking good and you get out to like a little bit of an early lead, I think you got to get – Merrill in there to get a couple of quick threes up there and see how he's going. Because he could, again, he's one of those guys. He's a barn burner. He could get this game broken wide open for us and kind of get us into that lead where it's, hey, it's okay to keep Okoro out there for long stretches of the game and not worry about him shooting the ball.
And honestly, I mean, Jay Boogie, brings up more good points. I mean, it's not like, this could be something. I'm not saying it is. Obviously, it's a net negative. But does it finally like tilt this team into like an underdog mentality?
JB to do something.
That too, like you're going to have rotations that are different. You're going to have to play other players, but it's like, okay, now do you rally around a guy? Do you rally around like a guy who's kind of held you together all year during injuries and stuff like that? And that's what bothers me the most about this time of the year, because I feel like JB has just favored comfortability so much through these first 4 games. But you weren't that all year. You literally had to play uncomfortable lineups. You had to play Damian Jones minutes. You had to rely on Tristan Thompson, 33, 34 years old, basically unemployed last year, suspended 25 games. You had to rely on Sam Merrill to step up some nights. Like when you give the guys opportunity to step up and it's different in different settings, regular season, playoffs are so different in the NBA that I just don't – there's no other way to put it. But as far as that being kind of final thoughts here before we hop off, anybody got anything else to say real quick addition?
The negativity is out of my system. I've gotten it out.
We all said Cavs. We all said Cavs to win this series. Like I said, go back, look at the tape. You could fact check all of our stuff and nonsense. Justin said Cavs in 5. Logan said Cavs in 6. I said Cavs in 7. So don't tweet at me. Don't tweet at us. Don't be in the replies. The chat's been lit tonight. Absolutely fantastic. But don't be in the comments after this saying, oh, well, all you guys do is just drag the team. No, we're telling you facts. If you can't handle it, that's fine. You could click off the video. Last thing I want to say, because we're 2 minutes away. When Justin and I started the Cleveland Pulse, and this is a little kind of not Cavs, kind of Cavs related, but not. We had a mission statement to not be like the big outlets, the ESPNs, the NFL networks of whatever, just talking heads. They say something. They're never held accountable for it. Nobody goes back. They just say something, move on. Say something, move on. Have a take, move on. If you stand on a take and you could admit when you're wrong and you stand on a take and you're right and you could conduct yourself both ways, that is what we're here for. And through 4 games of this series, I just want to say to Justin, to Logan, and to everyone who watches us, I am proud and I could be like grateful of what we have, because I think and I believe, and I'll never know because it's just an opinion, I believe and think we're fulfilling that mission. And that's what I love to see. We're not giving you we're not a talking arm of the team. We're not just, from them. We're not just constantly being negative. We are fans who analyze Cleveland sports. With that being said, it's 7:40. Cavs tipping off here really shortly. Everyone in the chat absolutely lit. Like I said, hit that like button, subscribe down below.
Let them know.
Game 5, Cavs, hoping that we let them know. Absolutely. Go Cavs. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.